My mic sound nice. My mic sound nice. Yep. I'm supposed to sing it, but I ain't had a heart to do it. All right. Welcome to the Black Delegates Podcast. Today's date is June the 4th, 2018. I'm here with Ghetto Phenom.
What's good with it? Sound like you forgot who I was for a minute, man.
No, I was deciding if I wanted to say something else. You know how it is. And Paul.
Howdy, sir. Howdy.
AKA Box Wine Poppy.
What's up, man? I thought we fired you from that hosting gig.
Yeah, you fire me, you fire yourself. You only here because I'm here.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, man. He was at the door, just knocking at the door, looking like a little sad poodle. So I was like, man, come back. We could rotate or whatever. We'll figure it out. So I gave him the chair back today, man.
Thanks. Everybody need LeBron, right? Just took a day of rest. All right, so let's see. G was not available. He is too busy doing other things that are more important to him. But that's okay. We will get him back eventually. Now, if he missed 3 episodes in a row, he gets bust down. So he gonna have to go back to being a guest, and then he'll be a regular again once he get 3 in a row again.
Yeah, but in fairness, we did switch the date at the last minute.
Yeah, but
because of the NBA Finals, but you got to do it.
We're black, and he should know that we're going to watch the finals. We already said ahead of time we're not going to change it. If anything, we would always push it to a Monday. So, I don't know whose fault that is. It's not mine. All right, so this week in Blackness, let's start off with you, Paul. What you got for me?
Week in Blackness, it was pretty, I got to be honest, pretty white this week. So last week was Wesley Snipes Black. This week, Tilda Swinton White. If you don't know who Tilda Swinton is, please Google that and you'll get a good laugh. But really not much going on here for me this week. The one notable thing is I switched my job. I didn't exactly quit my job, but I switched jobs. So my company I work for is very large. It's a large company. I'd say it's about 5,000-6,000 people nationwide. So one nice thing about a big company is that when you get tired of a place, you kind of get burnt out, with people, projects, things like that. You can kind of, you can apply and go somewhere else. So I did that a few months back. Finally got the call early last week, saying I had gotten it. And so then I immediately called my boss, my current boss, and, I had to give him, what I call, quote unquote, the bad news. But, I think it's always funny, guys, so it's like one of those calls, you don't like giving that call, but it's at the same time you do enjoy kind of giving that call because the whole time you're giving the call, you really want to say forget y'all, I'm sick of y'all.
Right.
Y'all don't know what y'all missing, but it always comes out as I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm sorry about this. So that's why I was Tilda Swinton White, because I went into that kind of mode when I was doing the call. I was like, yeah, if you need good tips or you need me to, kind of train the person here and there, I can do some, doing little things like that, because I'm not leaving the company, so I'm not. I can't wild out and say like, oh, f this, f that. I gotta keep it professional. But yeah, I switched jobs, man. So I'll in 2 weeks I start with this new section with some people I already know and stuff like that. So it's all cool, but
so they moving you up. They moving you up to lead assassin.
Lead assassin, that's right, man. I'm
lead assassin.
Nice. Next week I'm going over to Kandahar. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes, man. But yeah, so switch jobs.
Pay increase. You gotta kill like higher levels of heads of state.
So like I'm basically at the point in my company where I can't go any higher unless I want to be a manager. And I have figured out long ago that I do not want to be a manager. I don't know if either of y'all have been managers at any point in your careers, but man, I just see how incompetent people are and how much stuff managers had to put up with. And the increase in pay, while it's nice, it ain't worth all that headache and dealing with problem employees and stuff like that. And so I've been asking myself this for probably about 6-7 years. I've been right there, where I could do some managing. I've done a little bit of test, kind of like some little trial runs, but man, I can't see myself managing. I know I'll have to eventually here soon. I really don't have no other choice, but I try to avoid it because I feel like I'm productive what I do, killing people like Ryan says. But man, managing other killers, yeah, no, not what I have in mind. So
I understand. So you're the best at what you do, though. So we appreciate your service.
Yeah.
All right, Phenom. I saw the Facebook pictures, man. So I know your week in Blackness was kind of lit.
Yeah, actually, my week in Blackness, like Paul, so very often, was pretty white. It was hella white, to be exact. And there was a couple things that made it super duper white. The first is what you saw was axe throwing. His wife's birthday. That is the activity that we did, and I'll probably go into that the most. But secondly, actually today, just getting in off the golf course, got an opportunity to play at Belle Reve Country Club. They're going to be hosting the 100th PGA Championship. So they had a media event today. So I golfed today. I actually golfed Friday also. And I went axe throwing, so that's about as white as a weekend or a 4-day weekend can be. But it was fun. Golf, of course, is always fun. I enjoy it. But let's get into the axe throwing. That was definitely the star of the weekend. So that's something that I've been hearing about more the past maybe 3 or 4 months. My boss at work had told me about it. He's gone a couple of times. I've had other friends that have told me either they went and they enjoyed it or that they wanted to go. And this is something that up until, again, 3-4 months ago, I'd never heard of. I didn't know it existed. I knew it existed. I knew there were some axe throwing championships somewhere in Scandinavia or something like that, but it's nothing I ever imagined being a hobby. But anyway, so we went up there. And what they do is, like the first half hour, they show you how to throw axe, the proper technique of axe throwing. And then after that, they split you into teams because there's always a group. My wife and I just went together as a couple, but then they put us together with 2 other couples that were there, or groups of 2. And then so they split you into teams and they do little games and things like that. So there's basically like a target. It's almost like darts, or you're at the shooting range as a target and you just throw the axe at it and try to hit the target. So for whatever reason, again, I'd never been axe throwing before in my life. And for whatever reason, and I don't even want to sound like I brag, because last week I bragged in my This Week in Blackness about the basketball, garage basketball, whatever. But I'm going to just use my wife's words to explain how my axe game is. So at one point, and this honestly happened 100%, my wife turned to me after I stuck like 3-4 axes in a row, and she was like, "This must be what LeBron James feels like."
Oh, man.
No, this is bias reporting.
Hey,
no.
you can ask her. And she don't even want to give me credit like that. But it was like, for whatever reason, I don't know why. Like after that little half-hour training, like I was zoned in on the axe throwing. Like we played a couple of different games. One was like horse, but they did hatchet. And so again, it was a team game. So you throw, if you stick it and the other person doesn't, they get a letter. So my team won that, going away. But my wife was on that team, and there was another lady on that team, and both of them were okay, but they weren't sticking a lot of axes. So then they're like, all right, let's switch up the team. So they're like, we're going to do a game like cricket and darts, where basically on the target, they had it was circles and a bullseye, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. 6 was the bullseye. So it's like when your team hits a number, then that's out. And you try to hit all the numbers before the other team does. So I went cold for a minute, for probably like 10 minutes, because this is a 2-hour session that you got at the axe throwing. So I went cold for like 10 minutes, and the other team was racking up some of the numbers. So I think they had 2 and 6 left that they hadn't hit, and we hadn't hit anything. Nobody on my team hit anything. I didn't hit anything. Then all of a sudden, I just felt like it was the fourth quarter. I got in that zone, and I rattled off every single number, and we beat the other team. Nobody else scored one. So it was just like, for whatever reason, I just had that axe throwing thing. It's in my genes. I guess my daddy or my granddaddy was a lumberjack somewhere. My wife was calling me like Robin Hood or something. So my axe game is right, man. But it's something fun. I'm sure that it's cropping up around the country. So if you haven't had the opportunity to go axe throwing, I recommend it. They also, like, first they had these hand size axes, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 feet.
He's trying to get black people killed out here.
Right. So I heard axe throwing, man, but I was like, I'm not going because it sounded like Get Out Part 2.
Hold on. Was there drinking involved? Is there drinking? There has to be drinking here.
Right. Is there drinking?
There's an option. So the one that we went to was in St. Charles. Like, you can buy beer or whatever. There's another one in South County that my boss went to. He said that's like BYOB, so you could bring your own hard liquor or whatever. So
bring your own Hennessy.
Definitely, right. You bring your own Hennessy. Like, we didn't choose to drink, but it was cool. It was fun. And it was like they gave you a bunch of axes. First you start off with like a regular hand axe. Then you go to this huge like tree chopping axe.
I don't want to be anywhere.
Like,
I don't want
two
to be
little
anywhere
hatchets.
near. I don't want to be anywhere near anybody that's just learning how to throw axes and they've been drinking. they throw it backwards or whatnot. That's my thing. I'm gonna be way back
or
far
the handle
away.
slip off.
Man, exactly.
Like Elmer Fudd or something. Nah, man.
Nah, here's the most dangerous thing that happened, and I will say that you do have to pay attention. They tell you you can't wear like open-toed shoes. So Ryan, you just gonna have to leave the open-toed joints at the crib.
The only person I know with open-toed shoes was you, and I have photo
proof. We got evidence of that, man.
No, you don't.
On a brass skin rug.
Okay, so
I will say.
So the second question:
How many axes do bounce back off the wall, and sometimes they bounce all the way back to where you were standing. So you do.
How far are you throwing it?
You're throwing it maybe 15 feet.
For the little. What about for the big ones? For the big ones, the same way distance.
Yeah, I mean, you change your distance a little bit. It really depends on the person and how many rotations you got on the axe. Mm-hmm. But it's 10 to 15 feet in between there. And I'll say this real quick. So here are the 2 dangerous things that happened. So when we switched to the big axe, there was one that had this board that was covering a hole, and I threw it and it didn't stick, but I knocked off a board. The next dude who came after me threw it, and it went through the hole that was already there. So he had to like try to get this axe stuck out of the wall that went through this hole. But between that and the axes bouncing back towards your feet, those were really the only 2 dangerous things that happened.
Okay.
Were there any other black people? Were there any other minorities there? Were there any other minorities there?
There actually were. There weren't any when we first got there. There was only 6 in our group. And then maybe 45 minutes later, a second group came. And there was a black dude that was in that group, and it looked like a.
Did he give you the head nod? Give you the head nod? That's what I need to know.
He did. Oh, he had to.
He got to because he finally felt comfortable.
Yeah, and when you're in that situation where you're around axes and, like you said, drinking folks and range. Not too many of us out there, you have to give the head nod to say, hey, if it pops off, you get that axe. I'm gonna get this axe. And we good. But between him and me and my wife, and like I said, I think one lady was mixed, we was representing up in there. So black folks is throwing axes too, man.
That's what's up.
All right, now
I heard about that a long time ago. I hadn't actually looked into it though. But a white dude I used to work with, he had done that. But he said it was cool, man.
It was fun.
Yeah. I'll put it on the list.
Again. All right, Ryan. Now on to the Weekend Blast. Now on to the main event of the Weekend Blast. Let's hear about your Weekend Blast.
I don't think it's the main event. Don't hype it up too much. All right, so here we go. So my Weekend Blackness turned out. Now I'm gonna give y'all the short version of the sad part of the story. So my little girl, I'm sitting down to watch Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So black. The kids was jumping around in front of the TV, and I'm like, hold up, it's time for y'all to get out of here. Hit the showers. So I was getting ready to get them out the room. Everybody was ready to go to bed. I'm like, go in your room. I'll be in there in a minute. And I usually wait for that first TV timeout and then go in and officially tuck them in, say their prayers and all that kind of stuff. And not 2 minutes after I sent them into the room, I heard this big, large bang. And when something falls in the house, you don't know what it is, and your mind goes through the hundreds of things that it could be. and I couldn't think of nothing in my house that would have been heavy enough to make that sound. That's how loud it was. And I run around the corner, and my little girl is getting up off the floor, and she is like, her mouth is open and tears are coming out of her eyes, but there's no sound coming out of her mouth. So freaked me out. So I'm just like, okay, but I'm still calm. I'm like breathe, baby girl, breathe. Like, I need you to just inhale and you'll be okay. And then I can find out what happened. You know, it took her, I swear she stood there like that for about 20 seconds, man. It was scary. But she finally breathed and she got up and reached for me to pick her up. I picked her up and she was still freaking out and stuff. So I asked Trenton what happened. Apparently she fell out the top bunk. Long story short.
Oh.
Yes, fell out the top bunk. Trenton said she fell over backwards out the bunk. So thank God it wasn't worse than it ended up being. But she hit the ground pretty hard. I'm trying to, you're trying to do an injury assessment of somebody that's 3 years old. And, her brother will be 5 here on Friday. And, nobody can really tell me what happened. He don't really know how she fell, what she fell on. So I'm like asking her, like, what hurts? What does this hurt? Does that hurt? She really didn't know. She kind of said she hit the back of her head, but I usually go through the squeeze your hand and make a fist for me and raise your arms. That's usually what I do if they get hurt, just to make sure ain't nothing broke. But in this case, I asked her to raise her arm, and she was like she couldn't. So I was like, and I was thinking, maybe it's just a stinger or something. And she was crying so hard, she was like, I want to go to bed. And I'm like, no, you can't go to bed because I don't know if you hit your head. Take her in the room. She was laying down, just being weird. And I'm like, okay, I need you to sit up so I can have your mother check you over, because my wife is a nurse. And, Avery don't too much like me yet. So she don't always want to give me all the information. So I can't tell if she's just being Avery towards me, where she ignores me and act like I don't exist, or if something was really wrong with her. So I'm like, please come in here and examine your daughter. So she go in there, and we ran through everything, and told her what happened, and we asked her to sit up, and she's like, I can't sit up. And I'm like, what's the problem? And then I'm like, can you raise your arm? Can you move your feet? She can move her legs and stuff. She was good, but she still couldn't lift her arm, and she was not wanting to raise her head either. So at this point, I was scared that maybe she fractured something in her neck or something. So I'm like, well, I don't want to move her just in case, and I want the ambulance to come put a collar on her. So we had to call an ambulance. They came and got her. Yep. Took her to the hospital. Turned out she has a broken collarbone. So snapped her collarbone in two. So she's doing good, though. She in good spirits, and her doctor told her to stay out of school, daycare for a little while, because the kids are kind of rough up there. But other than that, she is good. But the blackest thing that happened while I was at the hospital was not only waiting from 8:30 until 2:30 when we walked about the hospital. 8:30 to 2:30, man. When I walked in, I was like, why is there so many people here? Like, that was the first thing, because it sounded like people was up in there to watch the game. It sounded like we was at Buffalo Wild Wings or something. I'm like, why is there so much chatter up in here? And then one dude was watching the game on his phone so I could hear it. And I'm like, well, what are we doing? Is somebody ordering wings? Like, what's going on? And it was so many people in there, man. People bleeding over here, people bleeding over there. Somebody apparently was in a car accident. Another dude was limping around on some crutches. But so we sat down, we finally got settled. And this dude, he's walking by the security guard, and, typical security guard. A white dude with a buzz cut, and he was kind of like, have you been seen yet? And dude was like, yeah, I've been seen. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you gotta get out. You gotta leave. And dude is on crutches. But so clearly he had been there and been seen and seen the doctor. And the guy told him, and the security told him, yeah, well, you gotta go. And dude said, man, I'm a patient. Like, I'm waiting on my ride. And he was like, oh, okay then. And then, of course, but the black dude on top of that was kind of getting smart with him too. So that didn't necessarily help the situation, but I still think the security guard was messing with him. And the security guard told him, well, no, he said to him, hey, why you bothering me anyway, man? Quit effing with me. I ain't bothering you. And then dude was like, well, I still got to clear out the waiting room. If you already been seen, call your ride and then you got to leave. And he's like, whatever, man, I'll stay up in here as long as I want to stay up in here. you know, man, once you start saying stuff like that, I'm like, man, what are you doing, dog? Like, you got crutches, bro.
Sweep the leg.
Like, if anything go wrong, you messed up. Yeah, sweep the leg, Daniel, son. So this dude, he's steady talking, man. He's getting louder and louder. He's cussing more and more. And so the dude, the security guard, he's like, all right, whatever. He's like, how about this? You better be going in an hour. And he's like, going in an hour?
An hour?
He's like, man, I'll be up here. That's a long time, ain't it?
Man, who wants to sit up in the hospital for an hour after you've probably been there for 4 or 5 hours, man? Get up out of there, man. Get out.
I thought dude had been here for a long time, but he gave him an hour. That's like, that's like the emptiest of threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better be gone by tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a big deal. I mean, he said he called his ride. His ride should be there in an hour. So I was like, okay, crisis averted.
Man, call your broke ass an Uber and be out of there now. Like, who wants to sit up in there? Man, get up out of there, man.
Yeah. So I went back to surveying the scene, and then the dude's he's walking around and he's steady. He went and finally he was like, man, just security told him to go have a seat over there. And he's like, man, I do what I want to do. I ain't got to sit over here. F you, man. Blah blah blah. And he just kept on cussing at the dude, and I'm like, oh, what is he doing? And dude was like, you know what? He's like, you got to go.
Good.
And he's like, man, I ain't got to go nowhere, man. I'm waiting on my ride, blah, blah, blah. And, security was like, all right, then. All right, I'll be back. And so he left. He got another security guard. They came back. And then, I can see him talking. I was watching through the window or whatever because you can see through their little door or whatever where they sit at. And dude is like preparing them. And he's like, well, who is the guy? He's like, it's the dude over in the black shirt. He's like, okay. And next thing I know, the cop cars pull up, which I didn't expect. I thought they would just go usher the dude out to the sidewalk, and he just out of here, and they'd be like, go on and find your ride. But no, the cops come up in there. So it's about 4 cops, because it was 2 cop cars, 4 cops, and the 2 security guards. Dude is steady cussing. They go walk over to him. At this point, everybody in the emergency room has got up to go over there and go look and see what's happening. And he like, man, I know my rights, man. I got rights, man. I'm going to get my lawyer. I'm going to sue y'all, man. You hate on me because I'm a veteran, man. You mad because you ain't a veteran. You a bum, man. You ain't making no money up in here, blah, blah, blah.
No, you a bum. You sit there and it's just sit up and hang out in the lobby, man. Go home. Go relax.
Keep in mind, this dude was cussing every five words.
Ryan, at what point did you pull out your phone and start recording?
Yeah, and say Worldstar.
Nobody had their phone. God. Nobody had their phone because it was lame. Because nothing happened. But so dude, he goes through the whole thing and he's like, and they like, yeah, man, stand up and we're going to take you out. I ain't got to stand up. Once you start saying you not finna stand up, you not finna go do this, then he like, why you taking my crutches? Dude, they taking your crutches because they about to take you.
Yep.
They pass his crutches down to the last man in the line. They then grab your arm, start pulling you, and he like, oh, my leg, man. Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, my foot, man. What did you think was going to happen when you kept talking smack after the cops came? Hobble your butt out the front door like they told you to, man. And he just like, man, why you got to grab my arm like that, man? Oh, man, the handcuffs. Oh, the typical stuff you hear when these things happen. But the whole time I'm thinking, dog, none of this had to happen to you. You could have just left.
And what's baby girl saying the whole time she's seeing this?
Yeah, I don't know. She was looking scared, man. I'm like, don't worry about it. She,
that's her first experience with ghetto-ness, right? That's her first experience.
Probably. Yeah. Some loud ghetto-ness like that. Yes. And she didn't really know what was going on. I said the police gonna take him out and he'll be all right. He not feeling good. Blah blah blah. But yeah, man, he acted a fool all the way out and. Basically laid out on the floor and they dragged him out, put his handcuffs on. He told him the handcuffs hurt. Like, dude. And I asked her, the one girl across the black girl that was sitting in there. And I was like, what happened? Because I said, I don't know what happened before I got here. And she's like, well, the security guard was messing with him because he said he really wasn't bothering nobody at first. And I'm like, yeah. And I said, on top of that, I said, then he started acting a fool too. So 2 wrongs and now you in the police car. You know what I'm saying? In situations like that, you probably got a warrant, then you end up in jail. Was it worth all that? No.
Why he probably got a warrant?
Man,
that's a shame.
If a dude that be cussing like that, come on. No, let's be real. Let's be real. That's right. That's right. We're going to... A dude acting like that, man, at the hospital, you think he ain't got no warrant?
But dog,
does Draymond Green have a warrant?
Probably.
Probably should.
No, he acted fool every game, bro. Every game he cussed.
If he couldn't hoop, man, he would have a warrant for his arrest too.
No, man, that's
man,
a shame.
That dude was acting a fool, man. I guarantee you.
Man, if the lobby's busy, man, you got people coming up in there. You know, they're not feeling good, man. Get up out of there. They need those seats, man. If you could have figured out when your ride was you could have scheduled all that a long time ago while you were in the back, man. Just you ain't gotta sit there and wait for 3-4 hours for no ride. You just doing nothing, man. Get up out of there. You gotta go.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I mean, if he wasn't walking around and being loud and cussing and stuff, nobody would say nothing to him from what I saw. Now, whatever happened before that, I can't speak on.
Yeah.
But yeah, old girl agreed with me when she said that he definitely made it worse on himself. But that was pretty much it. I guess Brown delegation. I watched Coco. You still ain't watched it yet, man. That's pretty brown.
It was fire, wasn't it?
It was good, man. You need to peep Coco.
I peep Coco. I know about Coco. I'm hip to Coco, man.
Coco was good, man. If I was for real Mexican and I knew all about the Dias Muertos or whatever, then I really would have liked it.
The what? If you knew about the what?
Look, whatever, man. I'm not. You heard me the first time. I ain't Spanish. Day of the Dead.
So the movie does bring a good point. Like, do you really want to see all your relatives when you go to heaven, or because I don't. I'm good, man.
The ones that's up there, probably.
There's a good contingent I'm good not seeing.
It has some dope parts, man. You know, it's Pixar, so they always got a deep portion of it where they was talking about, and not really a spoiler, but that how at some point, like, nobody would remember you because all the people that knew you would be gone. So that was like the big adult theme.
Oh yeah, man! That movie Up, man. Have you ever seen that one Up? With the dude, the old man.
I saw that.
That first 30 minutes is like sad as hell, man. You're like, little kids watching that, like, man, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. But it's a good movie too. Yeah. Yep. I feel you.
All right, that's pretty much it. So forgive me for the long weekend Blackness, but it was a long week for me. So let's see. Let's get to these topics, fellas.
Yeah.
So, Paul, we're going to go with yours first.
All right. We're gonna
looks like Kim K goes to Washington, D.C.
We're gonna bring a little glitz and glamour, a little celebrity to the podcast now. So this is a topic I want to talk about this week. So, Kim Kardashian. Everybody knows Kim Kardashian. She doesn't need any introduction. Of course, famously married to many Black delegation members, some that are on the fringes now, including her current husband, Mr. Kanye West. But this week, Kim Kardashian, for whatever reason, decided to go visit the White House to sit down with senior advisor Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, of course, and then to do a photo op with the president. And the reason she was there was to discuss prison reform and sentencing. Now, I'm sure I'm like you fellas, I never ever knew that Kim Kardashian had any idea about prison reform and sentencing. It seemed like a very, very odd combination. Would you guys agree?
I would agree that I'm still trying to figure out why exactly Kim K is famous. Still trying to figure it out.
Ray J made her famous.
She had,
Ray J made her famous.
Are we still riding on that? I mean, what? She really doesn't have any talent. I don't understand.
No, if you saw that video, you know she didn't have no talent. No, that was terrible, man. That was horrible.
That was back in the day, so I saw that one. But yeah, she still didn't have any talent.
Didn't have any talent.
Wink, wink. You know what I'm talking about. She still ain't had no talent. So why is she famous?
But anyway, so to move on, so keep it PG, you know, because we don't want the Ish's family members to come down too hard on us. And just remember, this is Ryan talking dirty here, guys. Right. This is Ryan, not me.
Right. I'm like, hey, you ain't got to worry about my Ryan. His church members.
1997. I watched one. They probably watched it too back then.
So Kim K went there to talk about prison reform and sentencing, and she used a case. And the reason I wanted to bring this up because straight up, I hate that whole family. I can't stand any of them, Kanye West included. The whole family can get out of here. We can deport them all. I'd be happy. But the reason she went to the White House was to discuss, in particular, one person, a lady from Memphis, and that's the local connection here that interests me. She was there to speak on behalf of Alice Marie Johnson. Alice Marie Johnson is a 63-year-old grandmother who had been living in Memphis since the late 70s. I guess at some point in the 80s or 90s, she got caught up trying to move some cocaine around while she was working at FedEx or something like that. And so she's been in prison for the last 21 years, and I guess she has a life sentence, even though that was her first drug offense. So she got basically a lifetime sentence for her first offense. By all accounts, she seems to be a model prisoner. She's gone into she's taken her time. She's done her time, 21 years so far. She's become an ordained minister inside the prison. She's gotten some degrees, and she's spoken frequently on behalf of done various like interviews, podcasts, what have you, on life in prison, turning your life around, all these things like that. So it seems like she's a truly good lady who got caught in a bad situation. But I still think it's kind of weird that Kim Kardashian is riding for her. I don't even know how she heard about him, which is kind of weird. But she went to the White House, met with the president, and of course, they did a photo op with the president, and you can see like Donald Trump clearly doesn't know what's going on. He's just sitting there smiling with this big, huge grin.
So he only invited her there to look at her booty.
Pretty much.
That's true.
Even though G maintains that old white men don't care about butts. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Donald Trump was a butt man or not, but if so, she's there. The butt is there. But so he did the photo op, blah, blah, blah. Nothing really came of this nothing really came out afterwards. It kind of made a little sensational headlines. But then the very next day, I don't know if you guys caught this part. So the very next day, Trump starts announcing a bunch of pardons. And you think like, I'm kind of like following the news. I'm kind of like at work, and I'm kind of checking Twitter or whatever like that. And so I hear about pardons, and I was like, okay, I'll check that out a little bit. So I was like, that lady must be getting ready to get out. So I was like, that's kind of cool. If the lady gets out and Kim Kardashian did it, hey, got to give her credit. But so I go to lunch or whatever like that, and so I'm just sitting at lunch and checking Twitter, blah blah, whatever like that. And so I'm scrolling through. I was like, oh yeah, let me go check on these pardons, blah blah. Well, he didn't end up pardoning Miss Alice Marie Johnson from Memphis. He ended up pardoning Dinesh D'Souza, who is a very conservative filmmaker, propagandist. He wrote a bunch of movies about how essentially Obama's the Antichrist. And he got caught up in some campaign finance violations, and so he had to do some like So he had a suspended sentence, and I think he had to do some like a house arrest, things like that. Anyway, but instead of freeing this lady who spent 21 years in prison and was going to spend the rest of her life there, and after having this big meeting with Kim Kardashian the day before, got the photo op that he wanted, he decides to pardon Dinesh D'Souza, and then he speculates in Twitter about pardoning Rod Blagojevich, who was the governor of Illinois, who was a Democratic governor of Illinois who was corrupt. I think like 6 governors from Illinois in a row all went to prison. I think this is 1 or 5 or 6, something like that. But this was a Democratic governor, and he was like basically impeached or whatever like that by a Democratic state senate, blah blah, because he was trying to sell influence. But the reason there's a connection is because he was on The Apprentice, Donald Trump's apprentice. And then the other person he was trying to he considered pardoning was Martha Stewart. Yeah, he wanted to pardon Martha Stewart because I guess he had been on her show before. So Miss Kardashian goes there to this thing, big old thing for Alice Marie Johnson, and the very next day, Mr. Trump is looking to issue pardons. He gives 1 pardon and speculates about 2 more, but does not give one to Alice Marie Johnson. So was this a huge waste of time or what, fellas? What do you guys think?
So, okay, random question that I need answered. How do these pardons work? Is this expunging this stuff from the records? Because clearly Martha Stewart's already out, so what are we pardoning?
Well, you probably get your voting rights back, ability to own a gun if you wanted to own a gun, all those things like that. So yeah, I think
it totally erases it off your record.
As far as I know, I don't think the federal charges. You can't take away the state charges. I don't think the president has the ability to take away state charges, but I think these were federal charges in all these cases. So yeah, to the extent they're federal charges, I think it just wipes it all totally clean.
Okay, go ahead, Ishmael.
And I was gonna say you forgot one pardon though, as you're talking about it. The president announced that he has pardoned Jack Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Oh, that was at the same time?
The boxer.
Yeah, man, I forgot about that. Dang.
The former heavyweight champion in the world
And we've been talking about this. Yeah, man, my bad.
Yeah, we talked about that. So Trump did decide, hey, I am going to pardon a black person. Of course, he pardoned a black person who's been dead for 72 years. I don't think that is by chance, but he did do that, and I will say that, you know, it's a decent act. Jack Johnson was in prison. For those who don't know, he was a former heavyweight champion, but he was in prison basically for taking a white woman across state lines. Now,
I think it was his wife.
Yeah,
right?
he married various white women. I think he was married like 3 times. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, he took his wife across state lines, just traveling, and the federal government basically used this law that was meant for kidnapping and things like that. And they prosecuted him. He ended up spending, I think, a year in prison over it. But they basically said, well, you took a white woman across state lines for immoral acts, and he was prisoned for that. So a lot of presidents have considered.
Wasn't he married to her?
I think, but
yeah, he was married.
I think he was married to her, but she was like a known, like pretty much all the women he was messing with were like known prostitutes. If I've read the history right, so I guess it's a little murky. It's a little murky there on some
immoral acts with your own wife. Okay,
exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, in reality, it was you're a black man, you sleep more with white women, and we don't like it. Yeah. So he went to prison for that. So Trump, because Sylvester Stallone called Trump and asked him to pardon him, and he felt like this was something that they asked Obama to do and he didn't do, and I feel like Obama was like, he's been dead for like 70 years, what's the point? And so Trump, you know, this was another thing where he's like, Obama couldn't do it, or Obama didn't do it, so I'm going to do it.
Let's be real. He just wants Sylvester Stallone to come to the White House and do the photo op. That's all they want.
Probably.
That's a weird story. I didn't know all of that hinged on the Kim K stuff, though.
So, do you guys want to talk?
I don't think it hinged on it, but I think it was just the timing. That's when he was doing his pardon, so that all came out around the same time.
But why not let the lady go? I mean, it seems like, from what the little I've read, it seems like a lady that's done her time. You know, seems like a sweet lady. I mean, she's definitely not a threat to the community. And she's from Memphis, so she's got a bunch of Democratic support, because I know Congressman Steve Cohen, he's supporting her, things like that, you know.
And that's the problem right there, you know. Yeah. Trump does not think that deeply. His is going to be, is this person support me? So of course he's not going to pardon a black person unless the black person is loudly for Donald Trump. You know, forget the guy's name, but the guy he pardoned was a Middle Eastern guy, or a Middle Eastern descent. The only reason he pardoned him is because he is alt-right, basically. He's come out
Dinesh
so far.
D'Souza. Yeah, he's Indian.
Yeah, Dinesh D'Souza.
Indian guy.
He's come out so far for conservative and for Donald Trump that Trump's like, hey, you pat my back, I'm going to pat yours.
Oh, yeah, that dude is like, I don't know if you followed. Have you ever seen Dinesh D'Souza on Twitter? Like, that dude is like a total scumbag. Like, just like he be talking reckless about like Hillary Clinton, not Hillary Clinton. Yeah, Hillary Clinton. No, not Hillary Clinton. What's the dog? Chelsea Clinton. He be talking reckless about Chelsea Clinton. Like, man, leave that little girl alone. She ain't bothering nobody. She ain't running for office, man. But he would just be talking reckless about her. It's like, man, this dude. He don't seem like remorseful, or, you know, just like, hey, let me just chill out, you know, whatever. But
yeah,
that's a different
story. If people really want prison reform, if people in prison really want prison reform, just tell all the people in jail to tweet that they love Donald Trump and they wish they could vote for him. And then prisoners will be able to vote tomorrow.
But do we want to get into the topic of, and we can pause here, or edit this out, but do we want to talk about prison reform overall? I know this is just kind of like a little segue, but do we want to get into any of that?
Hey, we might as well. Go ahead. What you think, Ish?
I don't care. Go for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Hey, well, so let's talk about. Let's just pick up here. Okay. If you cut this part out, we'll pick up here. So
Ryan ain't gonna cut it out.
I ain't gonna cut nothing.
So you might as well stop saying that.
So prison reform. What can we do to make? What's reasonable steps that we can do? I mean, I think from my perspective, I think the first thing we need to do is just decriminalize all. You know, unless it's like, you know, cocaine. Okay, like this lady, she was delivering cocaine. That's one thing. But these small time, you know, weed, I personally think we're really close. I think it's going to be passed. in the next decade that we're going to have like federal marijuana laws. I think they'll tax the heck out of it, but all these people that are in there for marijuana, they need to get up out of there. I think that's rule number one. And I don't know. I'll kick it up to you guys. See what you guys think next.
I would say, I mean, I have family members that have gone, to prison for quite some time. A couple 20-year sentences that I know of for selling dope, and so the one thing that I would like to see happen is the real problem with prison to me is the fact that once you serve your time, like your sentence is never over. Like it's really a life sentence, regardless of what they call it. Like, yeah, you were behind bars, but the real problem is that when you get out, you can't escape that you were behind bars. If you really served your time, they take away your right to vote as if that would change anything. Look, man, like if he served his time, he couldn't vote while they were in prison. So what difference does it make? I don't think that should be taken away. I don't think that when you get out, you should be able to vote again. You should be back to doing whatever you could do. You have to mark on all your paperwork and stuff that you have a felony. Once you do that, you're not allowed to get certain jobs, which is going to push you down into a lower, type of job, really.
Lower your whole economic future is
really
imperiled
economically, and then just the people that you're working around. Like I'm in my field of work and doing workers' comp. Like I hear people talking, or different owners of businesses talk about the workers that they think have a rap sheet or whatever, and they talk about them like they the scum of the earth, man. That's not cool. Like, regardless of what situation you were in, you made a mistake, you served your time, you got out, you should be able to turn your life around and for the good. But you're not allowed to do that. You forever got a scarlet letter on your chest, and you're never going to be able to go back to life being normal again. You're always going to be out here struggling. And then they wonder why people end up going back. It's because you're not really allowed to do anything, and you'll never be able to better yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, the hardest problem with prison reform is that you really have to reform the entire judicial system to fix it, because everything is off kilter just in the whole process. So we see so many times with how the police deal with black and brown people versus how they deal with white people. And we get arrested, we get pulled over, we get sent to jail at a much higher percentage for the same crime. For instance, if you look at right, or even if you look at things like weed, people that smoke weed, white people and black people smoke weed at a very, very similar percentage, right. But black people are way more likely to go to jail for weed. So number one, you have to get the police officers to have, like Starbucks, they have their bias training, and they have to learn how to police without that implicit bias. Now, number two, when you look at sentencing, two people that do get arrested, if you look at a white person and a black person or a brown person, they get arrested for the exact same crime, whether you're talking about a bank robbery, whether you're talking about selling drugs, whether you're talking about whatever. The black person or the brown person, minority, is more likely to get a much harsher sentence. So right. Now you have to deal with that aspect of it. You got to get new judges in there. You have to have a different interpretation of the law. That was a thing that I thought was really good about the Obama administration and the Justice Department under Obama, is that we started to see the Justice Department handle these type of things or look at things from that type of vantage point, where now the current administration is just rolling all of that stuff back, all those protections that we started to have, all those consent decrees that they started building between the federal government and certain police municipalities or certain governments. All those things are being rolled back. Lastly, I think as far as the prison goes, they do have to be building something towards those prisoners for the future. Like, they do have to be training them. They have to be giving them some type of job skills or education skills, because right now there's not a lot of that. You see that a little bit, but for the most part, like, they just have them in there chilling. And
if you let everybody out tomorrow that had marijuana charges, what would they do?
Right.
Not much.
Like they would be stuck. They'd be stuck. They can't do nothing. You can work in construction. If you find somebody that's gonna be a slumlord over you,
work in the back at Panda
let you
Express.
do nothing. Right. You can work in the back somewhere. Somebody gonna pay you cash or not pay you enough. They know for a fact that they don't have to pay you a lot because you don't have any choices. Yeah. And it's just a bad situation, man. I just couldn't imagine.
And picking off what Ish was saying about reforming the justice system. The other thing, like, so this is going the opposite way. But what I would like to see is like an express lane for people that have done stuff that there ain't no coming back from. Like all these school shooter dudes, like that dude down in Florida, that Nick Cruz dude. His, I guess, member of Brown delegation. Maybe you can put him on a little, make a spaceship, shoot him straight to the sun, and I wouldn't care. And do that tomorrow. I'd be cool with that, man. So like these people where they have their crimes where it's like, hey, there's no question that dude did it. Everybody knows it. Man, there's no way these dudes need 10, 20 years to plead their case and all these. I know that's like in the law and all stuff like that, but there needs to be some kind of like expressway for people like this that you're never getting out. We should not be. I don't want to spend money. I don't think anybody should be spending money wasting. This dude shouldn't be breathing air. And they need to go. And they need to go today. They don't need to wait till tomorrow. Not 10 years from now.
But the problem is the second you do that, we the ones that's going to get hit.
Exactly.
We going to be on the ship to the sun.
How many black folks are there right now that they were like, this person's absolutely guilty. We know they did it. They got convicted. Yada, yada. And then go back and get the DNA or
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you on these, like, and DNA and all that stuff. But I'm talking about, like, if there's video footage or there's, like, no question that one of these very limited, but for these like crimes like serial killers or these school shootings, man, you got to go. You get all those that dude in Colorado, the Batman killer, movie theater killer, all those dudes, man, put them on a spaceship straight to the sun. I would not care. I would not lose a single ounce of sleep over that.
Yeah, it's too many times where you actually caught dead to rights. Like for real,
in this,
wearing a costume at the movie theater with the guns in your hand, and you still get.
What you saying about all that DNA is
if y'all
totally right.
ever watch Matlock. If y'all ever watch Matlock, y'all know that I could be found with blood on my hands.
Next to Perry Mason.
I could be found with my hair and the DNA sample, and I could be not guilty.
No, I'm talking. You right on all that, and I'm DNA and all that stuff like that. I'm talking about the dudes like today in this day and age. You got Facebook Live, and they posting videos on Facebook Live of them shooting folks. Them dudes, send them to the moon. Send them to the moon right now, or on a spaceship, never to come back. I'm good.
Y'all know the real travesty in the judicial system is the system of bail.
Yep, that's another problem.
Man, I was just I talk about this sometime with my wife, and I'm like, what would happen if something happened to one of us and we got locked up, and we just needed bail? Let's hope to God that the judge don't say something crazy. And then even if he don't say something crazy, like you got to come up with that's a lot of money.
Well, it's 10%. You got to come up with 10%, right? 10%.
It don't matter, but they be setting your bail at like $100,000. Man, come on. Ain't too many families that's gonna be like, oh, here go 10,000. We good.
Well, you put up you got to put a lot of people. A lot of times you got
even then, if you got to say come up with 1,000, that's still, man, that's a lot.
You got to put up the house, or the car. You put up some collateral. I mean,
you ain't got no house and no car. You screwed.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
And it's a bad situation where even if you and. Let's say I even was out protesting or something, and some cop thought that I was doing something wrong and locked me up. I still got to come up with bail.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to you have to get to the judges, like to really correct the prison system. You got to correct the judges and that whole adjudication process, because right now, I mean, we know that America has a really bad history when it comes to just racial justice. And there's always been things that have been stacked against black people and brown people. That's just a fact. And so you start to get progress in certain areas, like the further you go in history, then people start to say, this isn't acceptable. Like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be sicking dogs on black people. Like, maybe that really wasn't cool. But then it just pivots into a different area. They say, well, we can't do this. All right, well, maybe we can do this. Like, here's a good example. So there's this municipality in St. Louis called
I just watched that today. I just listened to part 2.
And so And I haven't even seen it. I just heard about a little bit, but
break it down.
Pagedale, they had a
what is it?
They were pulling a lot of people out, pulling everybody in Pagedale's getting pulled over by the police.
Oh,
basically.
I thought you were talking about Maplewood.
No, this is Pagedale. So basically, people are getting pulled over for stupid stuff. You know, you don't got your city sticker, your brake light is out, whatever. And that's how the city is making money. So eventually they had a consent decree with the government that said, look, you can't be ticketing people like this. You can't be raising all this money just off ticketing drivers. So Pagedale said, okay, we're going to stop ticketing drivers. Well, what did they do? They started ticketing homeowners. Oh, your grass is too long. Oh, your fence is out of compliance. And so this is basically what happens with black folks. They say, all right, well, we can't do this to them anymore, but we just going to get them on this. We're going to get them on the marijuana. We're going to get them on. So until you really dig into that, until we really dig into this inequality or inequity, then the system's just going to be broken.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the way things are set up, it gives our judges leeway to change sentences as they need to, and be more lenient when they need to. Which, if those people were making fair moral decisions, that would be fine, and you want them to be able to do that. Because what I don't like is mandatory sentencing, because we get ourselves in the opposite bit of trouble. Where, oh yeah, well, I would like to let you off, but it says 10 years for this bag of weed, so you in the jail for 10 years, and we don't need that, because every situation is different, and they should be able to be more lenient if they want to.
Yeah, but you also then you open up for like the high school white kid for selling weed gets 6 months, and the dude that's in the hood, the black dude or the brown dude gets 25 years, and then that opens. So I don't know. In some ways,
well, that still happens even with mandatory sentences. They be finding a way. They be like, Timmy, we're just gonna ignore this mandatory minimum.
They'll just say they're not guilty. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, and this is one of the biggest parts. This is like the most easily doable part, because all this stuff that we're talking about is very difficult, and it's going to take a long time to change. But this is my big pet peeve, when black people do not go to jury duty. When they get them notices in the mail, they're like, I can't afford to miss work. I'm not going to this. That's what happened, because now you got an all-white jury, or you might have one black person on the jury, and all these people getting arrested are black or brown, and there's nobody on the jury that looks like them. So,
hey, but real talk, that's another part of the judicial system that's messed up. The fact that you have to serve jury duty, but you don't get paid for that day. Like, everybody don't have a salary job where you can just take off and they're going to pay you anyway. Yeah. Like, if I make $11 an hour, I can't afford to miss work.
Man,
True.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? And it could be 2 or 3 days of you down. I was down there once for all week, but I was salaried and I worked for the government at the time, so I didn't care. I was like, this cool down here, but everybody else down there was complaining, like, man, I'm missing work. Whatever they put me on one. I'm just going to say guilty and get out of there. Like, people were saying stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be judged by those people where you more worried about your pay for that week or that day instead of worrying about my life.
Real talk. When I went down to jury duty, man, sitting in that room waiting for them to call your number or whatever like that to file for you on the jury, man, they're the most depressed looking, scariest looking people in the world. I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to be judged by none of these people.
Right. And then, you still got to go through the selection process.
Oh, man, yeah.
Most likely, these days, it seems like if you're a black person, you committed a crime, they're going to take all the black people off the jury. Some kind of way you judge by your peers, but it's only one black person.
Well, it depends on where you commit the crime. I think if you're in
that's St. Louis City.
Yeah, I think if you're in St. Louis City, I think you're straight. I think if you're in Memphis, you're straight.
But it don't happen like that though.
Yo, and I love jury duty. I was called on jury duty once.
You love jury duty.
I thought it was the greatest experience. I would be a professional juror if I could be a professional juror. Just like set me up here in the courtroom all day. That's all I want to do.
Okay. I would do my part,
but I'm not going to say I love it. I'm not going to say I loved it, but I'm there to do my part. I don't like sitting there and I got to waste my time.
All you get is like $8.50 and a bologna sandwich. Man, get up out of here and a parking pass.
I was at the time I was lucky enough to where my job was going to pay me for being off anyway. So, like Ryan said, some people, if you're on hourly, you don't get that. I think either they should figure out either the government's going to pay for it or your employer has to pay for it if you call for jury duty, because that's just civil service. So that should be covered. But, just the actual act of going and listening to the trial and listening to all this, I just think that's very enthralling. So I like it. I recommend it.
Ish needs more things to do. Ish needs some kids in his life to annoy the crap out of him, take all that time to be like, nah, man, I ain't going to listen to no jury.
I mean,
that won't change that. I still wouldn't mind, man. I mean, it is.
Man, I can't even make it through an episode of Law and Order. If I try to watch an episode of Law and Order or Cops or Blue Bloods or any of those crap of like law shows, I can't even make it through an hour. How am I sit through like a 3-week trial, man?
Yo, if I was on a jury, I would be up in there representing, because I'm gonna be the dude causing the hunger
with a do-rag on, sleep in the bag.
Because if I believe in what I'm saying, I'm gonna be like, look, we ain't going home today. I'm sorry.
So you're gonna cause the hung jury is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, man. If you gotta do what's right, and a lot of time it seems like those people in the jury room always fold. It's so many times you hear the jurors come out and they say, "Yeah, everybody was pressuring me. They wanted to get back home to their families. They got tired of being locked up in the hotel and blah blah blah." And then everybody just got a groupthink mentality. But you can't do that. You got to stand up for what's right, or what you believe in, anyway.
I concur.
Don't call me for jury duty. I'm good. I don't want to go.
See, part of the problem right there.
Right.
Brown brothers and sisters are just at a loss.
I'm sorry, my brown people. Do not look for me for help. You're an asshole.
I remember one dude that we know that play fantasy with us all the time.
Uh-huh.
So he was like, yeah, if they call me on jury duty, the first thing I do, I tell them that if it's a black person, I'm saying innocent.
Right. Yep.
He said, no matter what, I'm saying innocent. And I'm like, dude, you can't be doing that either.
Yep. No.
He'll never get put on.
Yep. When I was there, I saw people when they sit there and ask you questions or whatever. They'd be like, "Oh, well, what do you think? I hate police. I don't believe them, so I can't do this fairly." And they'd be like, go home.
Stop doing it.
Go home.
Do y'all really think that the racists go in there and be like, "I hate niggers"? No, they don't. They be real quiet about it. They covertly go in there and get people locked
Exactly. Up. Oh no, I love black gentlemen. I think black gentlemen are fine. I have 12 black friends.
Hey, all I can say is Ish likes being on trial. Don't be a white person and you see Ish on your jury.
Hey, I got nothing against white folks, man. Nothing at all.
You going to jail?
I am fair and balanced, and not in the way that Fox News is.
Right. Judge you based on the facts.
Exactly.
But I'm never coming to St. Louis to commit a crime. Ish gonna be looking for me like, I'll volunteer for that trial, right?
Yep. That's what they need to have. Let me have a volunteer jury. Let me just go raise my hand or something, or put my name in a hat, and you just pick it out.
Okay. So, let's segue on to the next one, Ryan.
Yeah, I think we squeezed all we can out of that one. So.
I think you can even, if you want to go to yours, I don't even think we need to do
Yeah, that's
this
what I was going to do.
Because we so long. Yeah. Just going to skip that one.
So just as a more entertaining topic and a way to close out the show, I was thinking to myself, we have a lot of traditions in our culture, being black, being Puerto Rican, where, a lot of times we can really catch some smoke out here in the streets when you tell other black and brown people that you don't like something that most every black and brown person likes. So I was wondering, do y'all have anything that most black people like or even dislike or Puerto Rican people that you don't like? Were you outside the majority?
Paul, you want to go?
I'm gonna let you go first. This is the Black Delegates. I'm gonna let the Black Delegation go first. I gotta think of a good one here.
Go ahead, Fino.
Yeah, it was difficult for me to think of anything too, actually. But I think the biggest thing for me, and this is more like hip hop. This ain't just all black folks, because all black folks don't listen to hip hop. But most people that are black that like hip hop feel like Illmatic is one of the dopest albums that was ever made.
What? Hold on. What?
And I am and always have been of the personal belief that Illmatic is trash. I just don't like it. I don't get it. And I've tried to go back over the years. Like, I recognize that it has to be a great album because so many other people say it's a great album. So I give it that. I say, okay, it's great. It's just not great to me. And I've gone back over the years and I've tried to listen to it.
Let me get on a jury right now. I'm coming in.
Time after time and say, okay, let me try now. I haven't listened to it 5-10 years. Let me go back now and listen to it. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, yeah. Like, I honestly feel like, and I'm not saying this just to be crazy or say something salacious, I feel like Stillmatic was like 10 times better than Illmatic. Stillmatic is the only Nas album that I really like.
Quiet as it kept, I agree with you.
Man, I'm about to hang. I'm hanging up right now. I'm hanging up right now.
I never liked Illmatic. I never liked it, and I really didn't understand why people liked it so much. It was a few good cuts on there, but other than that, I was like, it's all right.
Y'all are.
But Stillmatic is my favorite Nas.
Y'all disgust me. Y'all disgust me. That's all I can say.
Hey, you asked for the truth. That's my truth. So what about you, Ryan? Paul's still thinking.
I'm still thinking. I'm devastated by that news.
Who came up with that with the topic idea? So clearly you got something in mind.
Man, I've been going back and forth because y'all know I think outside the box quite a bit. But I'm gonna go with this one. One thing that I don't like, and really all people like this, is not just black or brown people. I don't like barbecue. I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what the big deal is.
Y'all both kicked out of Black Delegates. Y'all kicked yourself out of
Black Delegates. I don't like barbecue sauce. I don't like barbecue meat. Like, what's the point? It don't really taste that great. I forgot about
this.
Yeah, man.
You don't,
and it's hard to explain when you go to the barbecue, and people be like, "Oh, get a plate," and I be like, "No, I'm cool. Like, I don't want nothing," and they just keep trying to shove the food on your plate, and you're like, "No, I don't want none." Then you got to try to be the person to put it in the trash can and flip it upside down so don't nobody see that you ain't eating.
You don't like nothing. Like, you don't like the potato salad. You don't like the hot dog, the grilled hot dog, the drunk dog. Nothing.
I get some hot dogs. I like the hot dogs on the grill, but yeah, man, I just never liked barbecue. Not nobody's barbecue. And I've tried all kinds because I keep thinking maybe something wrong with me and I need to keep trying this until I get it. But no, I just don't like it.
Have you been to Pappy's, though? And it's not a black establishment, but have you been to Pappy's?
I don't know, man. It doesn't matter where you go. It's not good.
You got to try.
That's what everybody says.
This is what I was.
I'll pay for it if you don't like it. Then
that's what everybody say.
We'll just say, all right, he don't like barbecue.
This is what I'll say about barbecue. It's cheap, man. It's super cheap. You go to a good barbecue restaurant, it can be good food. It's not expensive, so it's a nice, like, you go into a city, like I've been to Kansas City, so I've eaten at I forget what it's called, like Gates or one of those places like that in Kansas City. Is like the famous place. It looks like basically like a glorified truck stop or something like that, but it's just famous barbecue. And so you go in there and it's like $8 and you're having a meal and it's like, supposedly world famous or something like that. So I mean, I like that you go to a city and you spend $10 and you go into some like place that everybody talks about in a city, or St. Louis. I'm sure that St. Louis got like you were talking about, Ryan-ish, like, they got 3-4 places like that hey, this is the place to go check out barbecue. And it doesn't cost you arm and a leg. It's not like going to some fancy restaurant, and you get a little taste of what the city's like. So I like that it's cheap and it's good food for the most part. I don't like that it's messy.
I went to some place downtown, Smoky something. What's the name of that place?
Smokey O's.
I can't remember, but but everybody was talking about, oh, this is one of the best places, and I sat there and I was like, you know what? This is just some more charred meat. I don't want this. It's just charred meat, man. I don't get it.
Well, the sad part about that is that means that you want barbecue, and that's like one of the blackest things that you could do is just sit out and barbecue during the holidays.
So I miss a lot of times of just congregating with black folks because I'm not having a barbecue because I don't want it.
Day, man.
And when it's like 4th of July, I be hating going over people's houses because everybody barbecuing and I don't want it.
You might be like, I'll have a salad, please. I have some of that.
Yeah, that'd be the one day I'm
Caesar
eating a salad. Right. I'll be healthy as a mug on the holidays.
Get some pineapples.
Yeah, I'll get some pineapple upside down cake though. Somebody got some, but I'll just be eating desserts. So you got one yet, Paul?
Yeah, I got one yet. But first of all, I gotta rebut some of this this Illmatic hate, man. That's the greatest CD of all time. To me, it still is the greatest. It's the quintessential hip hop album. There will never be another like it. It's 10 songs. It's like 30, 35, 40 minutes. Every song is great. Is it like party songs? No, that's not what he was vibing with. The dude was like 17 years old. It's some of the greatest lyrics ever. The beats are subdued. I will grant you that they're not hype.
Trash.
They subdued all right. You could go to sleep on the song.
But in that time, but I still listen to the album at least probably once every 2 months, man. I listen to the whole. I can listen to every single song all the way through. It's like there's not many CDs in my life that I'll listen to, and like even to this day, I won't hit fast forward on too many of them. That one I can listen forever, and till the day I die, I'll stand by that song, that album. So that's it of that. And y'all are out of the Black delegation for even saying that. Now let me go on to me. Let me go on to me and what I want out of the Brown delegation. First thing I want out here, open-toed sandals, or as we call them, chancletas. Gone. I hate. We talked about this the other week ago when I was at the beach and how shoes. I cannot stand. Footwear. I don't like not wearing socks at this point in my life, and I'm definitely not wearing open-toe sandals. Now, Ish, I know you're a well-known open-toe sandal wearer, and many people in the
crushed linen,
and many people in the Brown delegation have that same outfit: the crushed linen gear and the open-toe sandals. I'm saying get up out of here. Open-toed sandals. I do not need to see any men with open-toed sandals. So I'm saying get that up out of here. Number two. The song Despacito. I hate that damn song. It's the worst song ever. It filled up my entire 2017 summer because it was little on every radio station. I don't have XM radio, so I couldn't avoid it.
You should have queued that up on your phone so we can hear it.
Right. Despacito. You know what I'm talking about.
You just need to make that the intro and exit song for this episode. It's got to be that.
Despacito.
Hey, if it's cool, I will. But if it's trash,
Despacito is trash. And then 3. I'm not gonna throw us all the way out, and this is the overall Brown. He's not Puerto Rican, but Pitbull. Pitbull's got like 3 good songs early on, but when he first kind of flipped over, because I remember back in the day looking at Source magazine when that dude was like wearing like the ghetto, the huge baggy like jerseys and all this stuff like that, and looked real rough. And he had some like real underground songs, and then all of a sudden he flipped and he started wearing the suits, and he had that one good song. And then maybe like 2 more good songs after that. But man, ever since then, like that dude's on everywhere. That dude's like on New Year's Eve. I don't even know how he keeps making money. That dude's always wearing that same suit and performing everywhere else. And I'm tired of it, man. So Pitbull, you can go too, man.
Super rich. Oh, since Paul did like multiples,
30 of them.
Hey, that's all right. No, I like it.
I'm just airing my grievances, man. Y'all.
I'm finna do this one, man. I might get lynched in the streets, but Tupac is not that great of a rapper. Just put it out there. I don't think Tupac is that great of a rapper. He has a million songs. He has some good songs. He's got some deep songs. I really love I like the Dear Mama album. But even in high school, like when everybody was bumping All Eyes on Me, I didn't think it was that great. I was just like, it's cool. It's cool. He is not the greatest rapper of all time. Like, we just keep saying that all his songs, he pretty much say the same thing over and over and over again.
See, Hennessy, now you've gone too far.
He got to say Hennessy. Yeah, he got to say it all, man. He got to say the same things over and over
Hennessy,
again. Say
enemies.
Something new. Yeah, Hennessy and the enemies, man, over and over and over again.
Now you've gone way too far. I don't know if I think this is when Destiny's Child splits off and you got Beyonce, and you got Kelly Rowland, and you got the 3 other people that tried to go.
Get your own podcast, Kelly. Get your own podcast, Kelly.
I think that's what has to happen. That's just ridiculous, man. I think it ends here. It's been a good run.
Ish gonna be at a barbecue this weekend with open-toe sandals, eating barbecue and listening to Tupac.
Yep. That's what my new podcast is gonna be called. Barbecue and Tupac. And you're not going to be invited on, Ryan.
Have you ever been to a barbecue where the food was just like I ain't touching this? I'm scared to touch this food. I'm just out here hanging out for a little bit, but I'm not eating this food. Have y'all ever been there?
Not usually, because I think as a community, black people really police the food well. They know who all bringing what usually. So if anybody suggests that they're going to bring something that everybody knows is nasty, somebody will be like, oh, no, I'll take care of that. So so I think we do a good job on that. So in general, I think the food is always good.
I mean, I've been to a couple. I've been to one barbecue with a relative of my wife's, and man, like he offered me like some meat, like some chicken, and I was like, nah, I don't think so. And I remember like next day, like my little nephew or something got sick or something like that. I was like, I'm glad I didn't touch that mess. I was like, my wife and I were like, nah, we ate earlier.
Yeah, I was actually, to be honest, during Memorial Day that just passed. Yeah. I did a little grilling, man. I think it was subpar because I had to work. I had to go and do an interview for work, so I was trying to hurry up and rush, and I didn't really have time to do it. So it wasn't like nasty. It was still barbecue. If you like barbecue, it's going to be at a certain level. But it wasn't my best work. You know, I was a little disappointed in my Q skills because I like to think my Q game is solid. But that day, it just tastes like generic barbecue. Oh, and it's like something you go to the grocery store.
You mean like all barbecue?
No.
Hey, and I will say, if I go to your barbecue and I see one fly on the meat, I'm done. I'm not eating. I don't care if it wasn't my meat. Now, if I see any fly like around the grill and you ain't really monitoring that situation, like I got to go, because I've been to a few barbecues where, man, it'd be like a whole army of flies around there. Like, man, you got it. Nah,
where
man.
Everybody leaving the food open like white people in the office place.
Yeah, man. Nah, man.
Be like, hey, man, why don't you cover that food up, man?
Nah, I need you to have the little tiki torches with the little the little citronella going. I need something going. You need to maintain that. If there's a bunch of flies, if I see a bunch of flies, and I got an eye like a hawk on that stuff. Like, nah, man, I ain't messing with you. Can't do it. Gots to go.
All right. Yeah. All right, so I think that's going to be it for this week, fellas. We got in some random conversation, which is good. Maybe we will start dropping some topics out. Maybe we'll do 2 topics and then try to have some conversation just organically in the future. So, Ishmael, where can they find us?
You can find the Black Delegates online. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Black Delegates. There's an underscore between Black and Delegates. We are also on Facebook at Black Delegates Pod. If you want to follow Ryan on Twitter, you can follow him at The Black Ryan. If you want to follow me, I am at Ish Creates. That is ISH Creates. Ryan, if people are trying to find out where they can listen to the podcast, where can they go?
Hopefully one day they can find us on Spotify, but they still ain't hit me back. So
I told y'all, shut them down. You ain't want to do it, man. You ain't want to do it.
No, we're not gonna treat them like that. We're gonna be upstanding citizens and show them that we belong. But you can find us on Podbean. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us anywhere podcasts are sold. We got to find a way to put Paul in on this. Paul, what can they do if they like our show in order to share or rate us?
Rate us on iTunes. Give us those 5 stars. Likes the episodes. Give us feedback. That's what we want to hear. Let us know that you're listening, yes, and you're enjoying it, and maybe even give us suggestions of what you want us to do. We're open to anything, as long as it isn't involve barbecue, Tupac, or open-toe sandals.
Or Illmatic.
No, we're riding on that.
Definitely not Illmatic.
2 out of 3 podcasters agree.
I'm gonna fight for Pac, but yeah, Illmatic gotta go.
I'm gonna stand with Nas above Tupac though. All right, another episode in the can.
That's
it. Don't have nothing witty to say.
I was like, why are you even going on?
Sometimes you just gotta end the show. Sadly.
You gotta end it. Deuces. Right. Appreciate y'all for listening. See you next week.
Despacito sucks.